Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. The Flyers lose in overtime, and it's extremely disappointing. I know that they didn't play a bad hockey game. They shot the puck 37 times on net, and they outplayed the Islanders, but they didn't come up with 2 points. And you are right now at the part of a season where you need to figure it the hell out. You can't have these hiccups in overtime to allow the Islanders to have an easy wraparound goal to beat Brian Elliott when you had a power play at the end of the third. When it's a tied game, it's 1-1. You could put this thing away. It wouldn't even be a contest. Put it away and score a goal, and we aren't even having this conversation. I can't stand that we are constantly hearing, well, that would have been a nice building block game, and hey, maybe we can use that to build off of. No! This team is the definition of inconsistent right now. Win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, loss. I'm done with that garbage. I'm frustrated, even though that in theory, this game is a style of play that could result in wins majority of the time. It did not tonight. And you allowed Sorokin to make all of these phenomenal saves. He was a dog. There's no doubt about it. He stopped Kevin Hayes on a short side blistering wrist shot that he waffle boarded away to throw a little Doc Emmerich in there. He stoned Travis Konecny on that backside where he had a kick save and he was able to even take away some time and space for the rebound opportunity from there as well. He robbed Nolan Patrick, 26 times. And I'm torn because I felt like Nolan Patrick should be able to bury as well. And I know I'm extremely biased. I know that I hate Nolan Patrick and I think he stinks. So at this point, when Sorokin comes up big and makes a stellar save, I want to blame Nolan Patrick because he's been so damn underwhelming. Whether that's fair or unfair, I'm going to do it. I thought that Nolan Patrick should have been able to score on some of those chances that he had, and he wasn't able to dig deep. Some of these chances, while Sorokin was awesome, dig deep. Dig a little bit deeper. Really. You have all of these shots on net. Bury it! Now, I'm not trying to take away from Sorokin. I thought Giroux ripped the shot on net. It gets blocked. It gets deflected by an Islander defenseman or was a forward. Whoever came out and pressured Claude Giroux in that moment. It bounced off the ice, and here comes Sorokin with the beautiful glove save. He was in a different world. He was in a different element, and he's been on that type of stretch. We all saw the numbers. We've seen what he has been providing for this Islander squad. So this is the dialed-in Sorokin that has been available for the blue and the orange, if you will. And it's unfortunate that the Flyers had to go up against them during this time. But you need to dig down deeper. You got to be tougher. And I'm not saying that everyone didn't battle through things. I didn't like maybe the way I used the word tougher because Ivan Provorov was really going out there and competing even though he wasn't 100%. Sean Couturier, I saw times where a healthy Sean Couturier would be able to take a 3-on-1 rush and explode and have speed and have power, but this version of Sean Couturier that is clearly having some lingering discomfort is going slow and there's not as much speed involved and it doesn't have the same effect. You don't have the same power. You don't have that special play making ability because you don't have it. You don't have 100% of yourself. But to counter that a little bit, while I respect that side of things and maybe it's easy to not be in the lineup or easy for Ivan Provorov to maybe call it quits on tonight, I appreciate that, but at the same time, is anyone playing 100% right now? No. There's a lot of guys throughout this league that are leaving everything out there, that are playing nicked up, that are playing banged up, that are playing with all sorts of uncomfortableness going on in their body. So this is just what you do. This is the nature of the beast. This is how the NHL works. You're not feeling 100%? Okay, go log me in 25 minutes as our number one D pair. That is part of the job. That is part of what you need to do. So it's sort of a mixed emotions. Yes. That is something that I'm aware of, and I'm acknowledging that you are competing and leaving it all out on the ice, but you're supposed to leave it all out on the ice as well. And then at the end of the day, they came up small. They did. I hated that overtime play. But before we get to that overtime play, let's sort of discuss how it all played out because Oscar Lindblom starts the scoring for the Flyers, and I thought Oscar Lindblom, Claude Giroux, them two playing together over the last couple of games, there's something there. you always look for a spark, and I feel in today's era of hockey specifically, the coaches change the lines too much. Oh, let's throw this guy out, that guy out. Let's switch up the lines. Let's put new wingers on there. Like, they're constantly just flowing things, rotating things. But there's eventually something that sticks. And I get looking for a spark. I think coaches take it to an extreme now, and they're changing way too much. But I understand changing things until you find something that makes a little bit of sense. And Claude Giroux and Oscar Lindblom are the two tandem right now that seem to have a little bit of mojo. And Claude Giroux comes around the net. He throws it towards the slot, and he had good body movement, good body control, peppers it on net. It hits off Lindblom's skate, but he's going in the right areas. Get to the greasy parts of the net. I've been through this so many times with Oscar Lindblom and players like JVR. They can get goals, they can generate scoring chances, but they do it in this unique way of like a Wayne Simmons. Wayne Simmons, what would he do? He would camp out and he knew his area. Oscar Lindblom is a go to the net. Go to the grindy spots. Go to the areas that maybe not every player wants to go. But when you play with Claude Giroux instead of aube-kubel, well, then you're going to get better chances. You're going to have the puck bounce your way more because you're playing with more skilled players. There's this energy with these two, and Jake Voracek was on that line as well when they netted that bingo. And I love the way that they were cycling the puck, playing the body. They were doing a lot in that offensive zone. The Flyers had offensive zone time. They shot the puck 37 times on that. You generate offense during that, during a game where you get that type of production. So they were involved in that area, and I thought that line was strong, and they were buzzing around. But you need more. You need more production than just one goal, not specifically just that line. I'm talking about the entire team. You need to be able to bury. And I mentioned aube-kubel. There was that Nolan Patrick play where he tried to pass it on that backside, that far side post to Nolan Patrick, and it might have been a little bit ahead of him, but also Nolan Patrick couldn't get there. I'm biased towards Nolan Patrick, and I'm 100% aware of that as I enter this conversation. Was he noticeable? Yes. Yes, he was noticeable. He was wheeling around. He looked different, but he had so many times to score. And I'm not going to be satisfied with where this Flyers team is right now. And with the underwhelming season that he has had, there's no... Well, look, he was off for a year, migraine, getting back in the thing. No! The time is now. I'm not looking with the glass half full here of, hey, maybe this is a spark game for Nolan Patrick. I'm not looking into that direction here of, hey, you know what? They lost. They only had 1 point. They need to get a lot of points. They went 1-1-1 in this 3-game stretch against the Islanders, which is not good enough. I mentioned winning 2 of 3. I mentioned sweeping them, knowing that the sweep was a little far-fetched. But I mentioned going 2 of 3 against the Islanders would put you in a different mentality. And even though going to overtime in your own games this year because the division play isn't as powerful, knowing the Islanders are essentially a lock to make the playoffs, that was irrelevant to me. Once you got to overtime, it was about grabbing the 2 points. It would be different if you're playing the Rangers, or if you're playing the Penguins, or if you're playing the Boston Bruins, teams that are a little bit more of a, question mark. Not that they are question marks. I feel the locks are, at this point, with the Islanders and the Capitals. Like, those teams kind of have it going. But, yeah, it would be different if it was a different situation with a team that you're really battling with for that 4th seed. That's not necessarily the case with the Islanders. They're pretty much a lock for the playoffs. We can all understand the circumstances there. So with that being said, getting to overtime was irrelevant for me. It was, I don't care about them grabbing that extra point. You got to grab the 2. Now, I mentioned the goal that Oscar Lindblom scored to make it 1-0. Elliott thought he had the puck covered when Wahlstrom scored. It looked like the puck was just hanging around the blue paint area. Everyone stopped playing, and on the post-game live with Taryn Hatcher and Al Morganti. I almost drew a blank on Al. Love Al. I think he does a great job. I think Taryn does a great job as well. And that's no knock on Katie Emmer, but I think Taryn Hatcher is a little bit better of an upgrade. I like that post-game show, to be honest with you. I think Taryn does a phenomenal job. Of course, Al Morganti is a legend. But regardless, they were talking about how the players stopped playing. That bothers me a little bit. Because, yeah, Brian Elliott might have thought he had it, and I thought Brian Elliott was sharp. You look at the 20 shots that the Islanders had early in this game, after the first period, a little bit after the second period. While they didn't have a lot of shots on net, which in theory is a fantastic thing, they still had good looks. They still had good chances. But what happened was Brian Elliott was so sharp and he was poised and he was taking away good angles that the Islanders missed the net, or they didn't put the pucks on net. It rimmed around the boards. They went high. It hit the glass, things of that nature. So the Islanders would have a pouncing chance, but because of how sharp Brian Elliott was, it didn't really statistically show up on the stat sheet, but that's awesome to Brian Elliott. But when Wahlstrom scored that goal, I'm not mad at Brian Elliott for not knowing where the puck was. He thought he had it and all, but we talk about puck battles. When they played the other night, and here comes, was it Eberle who scored that goal because you lost puck battles in front of the paint? That's what upsets me. Unaware. Not focusing on where the puck, where's everyone involved? If Brian Elliott Moose thinks he has it, well, players around him have to be more conscious of what's happening. And it reminded me of the other night where you're losing puck battles, the puck's flying around in that slot area. Nobody's coming up with it. Nobody's clearing the puck, putting it into the corner, chipping it out. Hell, I would even take an icing. I'd be okay with an icing in that area. Get the puck out of the slot. Get the puck out of the crease. But nobody was seeing where the puck was, and I can see why the goalie sometimes thinks he has it, whatever. But the players need to know. And don't tell me that they're reading the body language of the goalie. You got to know. You got to see. So it doesn't sit well with me that, well, because Brian Elliott thought he had the puck, I could see why everybody else stopped competing. I can't sit right with you. Right? I can't be the only one. There's no way that could sit okay in your stomach. Please. I mentioned that power play. You earned it. You earned the power play. Put the team away. Put them away. Stop playing around. They're giving you it. A 5-on-4. But no. And it wasn't even close. It wasn't like I felt good about that power play at all. It might have even been arguably the worst time of the game for the Flyers because they were in control. They were cruising. They were flying down the ice. They were making plays. They entered the zone. They were moving the puck. They were peppering Sorokin. They were doing good things. And you get a power play to end things off, and it was one of the most dysfunctional couple minutes they had all night. How do you not bear down there? It's crazy to me. It really is. And getting to what happened in overtime, I'm so bothered. Now, you didn't get your traditional 3-on-3 because that power play snowballed into overtime. So it was 4-on-3 for a handful of seconds. You get the 4-on-4 play, which changes the pace completely. But you didn't see the Flyers have that sense of urgency in that overtime. They were very lackadaisical, making bad passes in the D zone. And I hated the pass that was attempted to Gostisbehere, but I also hated what Gostisbehere did afterwards. The puck went in that gray area right inside the blue line on the left side. If you are looking at Carter Hart, I guess it's the right side. If you're Carter Hart's back, it would be your left side. But regardless on what side it was, a pass over to Ghost, and Ghost somewhat figured, hey, I'll take the rush instead. Instead of trying to make a play on the puck, beating someone to the loose puck, and there were seconds. It wasn't like it was a good decision. Sometimes, trust me, as a stay-at-home defenseman, I would recognize that there's times where, hey, I'll take the rush. Maybe my gap won't be perfect, but instead of taking that chance and pouncing to go make a play in the neutral zone on a puck by the wall and get beat, instead of doing that, why not just back up and play the rush? There's times for that. But you got to recognize time and space. You got to recognize also what else is behind you, what else can be in front of you that's back-checking as well. And I didn't think Provorov made a great effort to get back after that either. You can kind of see him gliding on the replay from the behind the ice type of shot. But Ghost, go make a play on the puck. Don't sit back. You sit back, and that costed you. Beautiful wraparound. Brian Elliott couldn't get post-to-post quick enough. And what do you know? Farabee was behind the net. He lost a bit of a battle. And it's just unfortunate. It's unacceptable. Building block game, we heard. Yeah, well, building block game, come on. I've been hearing this so many times. This team has never taken a game and then applied what happened and built off of it. It's so random. You might get a phenomenal game next game, but that has nothing to do with tonight. And then you might have a stinker where you lose 6-1, but that had nothing to do with the previous game. They are just all over the map, and it's a crapshoot. You have no idea what version of Flyers hockey you are going to get. This game, you didn't have as many brutal turnovers as you did in the D zone as other games. Now, they were still there. All right, let's not act like this was a perfect D zone by any means. I am not saying that. There were turnovers, there were problems, things occurred that you have seen throughout this season. And this is more a testament of how bad it's been in other games and how many pizza deliveries you threw up the middle in other games. It didn't stand out like a sore thumb like in others, but that's because of how intensely embarrassing some of the other circumstances were, not so much because this was extremely limited to this wild number either. You know, it's like it was so putrid in other games that, okay, well, it was bad tonight. It wasn't putrid, it was bad tonight at times. But all around, I didn't think that. I don't want to take that. I don't want people taking that the wrong way. I'm just saying when you are so terrible and then you are just, well, it makes the kind of look like you were great, you know. And I don't want that to be taken the wrong way either, because yeah, this game could win you hockey games. This style of play tonight wins you hockey games if the other goaltender wasn't red hot. But it's not time to take moral victories anymore. The moral victory garbage is over. That's the first 10, 15 games of the season. That's the first month or so. Now you're in, you gotta start ramping it up a bit. And I don't think that this 1 point is salvageable. This isn't, you're salvaging things here because of that 1 point. You are so low right now, and you are so beat down mentally, internally, that this feels more like a defeat than a moral victory. As it should, though. It should feel that way, because that's the circumstances you put on yourself. That's where you are in the season. You've played so poorly in so many other games that you have put your squad here, in this spot, in this standings. You put yourself in this Eastern Division right now in this area, and you got to dig yourself out of it. And 1 point against the Islanders, no matter if you outshot them 37-20 or not, 1 point isn't going to do it. So you got to dig deeper. By the way, March's biggest tournament is finally here. We do not know who will be cutting down the nets at the end, but we do know there will be no shortage of madness. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. There are so many phenomenal odds boosts and promotions for March Madness. This college basketball first 4 days has been literally insane. But don't worry, if college basketball isn't for you, DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on golf, hockey, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up. That is promo code Brodes when you sign up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only, restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, why don't we toss it on over to the Anytime Hotline? By the way, there is a back-to-back for this Flyers team. They play the New Jersey Devils tomorrow. So with this type of effort, playing extra time, playing with injured players, what does that mean for tomorrow? Those are all fantastic questions, and we won't know until we see the finishing product. But I can see it being a lay and egg type of game where the Devils score 4 goals within 30 seconds. Could you imagine? I could see it being one of those games where they lose a hard-fought battle. Like, I see so many scenarios with the team. You know why? Because this team is so inconsistent that they're one thing one night, they're the other thing the next night. They look okay the following night. It's painful in the brain.
Well, at least they got a point out of it. I mean, that's not much at all, considering the fact that this team is in a major slump right now, but whatever. At least they didn't embarrass themselves. That's all I can really say at this point. And one last thing, just Islanders just stuck to the script. Let the Flyers outshoot you, and you'll win every time. Just let them outshoot you, you'll win no matter what.
I get the joke, and I understand that that's sarcasm because this Flyers team was winning so many games early in the season, which made no sense because they were so limited in opportunities, but they were getting outshot so much it made no sense. And now the Flyers are out shooting teams, and this was the plan. I guess this was when Alain Vigneault, the captain, JVR, when they all came out a few games ago in a post-game presser and stated that, well, when you look at our game plan and all, the formula is getting on the right track, and we're moving in the right direction, and our plan it will work, and all this. Whatever, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but you understand what that message was from AV. We're moving in the right direction and all. I think this was more of their execution of it. I didn't see it prior. This was the first game where I really saw it get executed, and unfortunately it didn't come with the win. And then I do think that this does result in wins more times than not, but I can't look at that right now because I know how important and I value these 2 points so much because of where they're currently at. So, and I also don't think this is who they're going to be forever. If I thought this was their real identity and I could count on this being the version of Flyers hockey for the next 15 to 20 games, well, then I would feel better about it. If this was their real, true identity of the team, yeah, I would be okay with this, but it's not. We all know that. We know this isn't really who they are. We know that this is just a glimpse of what they can be, but they're not properly this night in and night out. They're this once in a blue moon. So yeah, that's why I don't feel so great about it too. It's more about we know their holes, we know their flaws, we know their issues. They've shown up 90% of the time. This is more of the 10%. So this getting back on track and this whole narrative that the coach wants to spin that this is the version of hockey that will result in garbage. But you talked about, hey, at least we didn't get embarrassed. Yeah, that's where the Flyers put you now. The Flyers put you in a spot where, hey, at least they didn't lose 9-0. At least they didn't lose 6-1. At least the game was close. Sadly, that's the orange and the black this season. Well, they brought it to overtime. Don't get fooled. Don't allow that to be okay. And I'm not saying the caller is saying that. I'm just saying emotionally for everybody listening, don't allow for that to be okay for this organization, please.
Just watching the Flyers here, and at this point of the year, I can't do nothing but laugh. They fucking suck, man. They're so bad. And I don't know what it is with Nolan Patrick. Why the fuck is he ever out there? He couldn't play in a fucking Pee-wee league, for fuck's sakes. He is so fucking brutal. And I never seen a defenseman like Ghost who can't play fucking defense. He might as well be a fucking winger. He's fucking useless. This team makes me fucking sick with the cross-ice fucking passes. Well, let's give it away again in overtime with another cross-ice fucking dumb move. Well, I hope we get a good draft pick because this team is going down.
Oh, no. We're at the point where we're looking for draft picks, please. Don't tell me that. This team is past that point of draft picks and all that. Like, I'm at the point now where I know we're frustrated, but I'd be willing to move on from prospects to get in more established talent. As bad as it is, I think, look, this year is bad. It's sort of like the Sixers. The Sixers showed promise. You make these moves, Al Horford, Josh Richardson. You have all these expectations, and then you're a disaster. And everybody believes that you are screwed forever. And then within 1 year, here comes Daryl Morey. He makes 2 trades in Josh Richardson and Al Horford. And now everyone thinks that this team can go win a championship. For as bad as it is, and for how extreme the flip-flop has been, it can go back in the other direction. They went from second round, 7-game playoff series to, okay, are they even going to make the playoffs? I am not convinced that they are that far off from being able to turn it around again next season is my point. And I know that's way too long-term thinking with the Flyers, and that's the last thing I'm trying to do right now. But in terms of, hey, it's time to start selling your players, or because I've heard that too. I've heard, hey, let's start trading guys and rebuilding. Rebuilding? Now, we're not in rebuilding mode. If anything, I'd be willing to move on from prospects and get some added talent of more players that are established at this point in their careers, because I think the Flyers, it's time now to maybe move on from some draft picks, move on from some selections, move on from some prospects, bring in some added talent. And like, I don't think they're that far off. If you clean up this decor, you are talking about a significantly different team. If you can get some established defensemen in here, you are talking about an actual playoff team. And once you get into the playoffs in the NHL, it's a different type of beast. So I know it's annoying, and I'm right here with you, and I'm on this ride of screaming every single damn night and not being satisfied. But I also don't think it's as extreme as it's time to start over all this and that, like we are constantly hearing from some. A couple things, though. You mentioned Nolan Patrick. I'm with you. The Nolan Patrick experience, he's a player that, and I'm not claiming that there's a lot of love around the league or there's a lot of players that, a lot of organizations that are looking at the player in Nolan Patrick as someone that has so much value. But, yeah, I'd move on from him. He's a player I'd move on from. There's something missing there. He doesn't have that grit. He doesn't have that extra oomph. He doesn't have that consistency in his game. Because once in a blue moon, he makes a play where it's, damn, Nolan Patrick, that's what we've been waiting for. That's what we thought you had. That's what we really wanted to see from you on a consistent basis. On a consistent basis. But you're not getting that. And it's not enough. I don't see it enough to feel comfortable with Nolan Patrick out there. And I know tonight was one of his, quote, better games, but his better games really irritated me because he wasn't able to complete the job and finish. I think there's a reason why that is. It wasn't all Sorokin. To say it was all Sorokin is unfair, and it's not telling the full story. Some of that is because, well, the capability of Nolan Patrick might not be as strong as we anticipated. Now with Ghost, yeah, Ghost isn't the best defenseman in the world. We know that. I'm not big on this whole Ghost experience anymore either. He's someone that I hope gets picked up by Seattle. It seems that possibly, when I looked at some of these hypotheticals for what Seattle might take and what they might select, Ghost is a name that constantly gets taken. But for what the circumstances are this year, I don't know. I mean, we tried Nate Prosser. That didn't work. You have so many limited options. So knowing what your options are, it's bad, but this is your best chance, is Shane Gostisbehere. I hate that. I hate that that's the answer, but it is the answer. So I'm not going to say much more than this is your best option. This is what the roster tells you this season. I hated what he did in overtime. And I'm trying to think of some other defensemen. Braun had a couple rips on that. I think he finished with 5 shots on net for Bronner. Talk about an offensive specialist, huh?
Michael Gibbons. What the fuck is happening with this Flyers team? Losing 2-1 in overtime tonight against the Islanders, which I don't even think we should have needed to go into overtime. We should have just been able to bounce back, and that's not the case. I don't know who to blame for all these losses. I don't know if it's Hart's fault. I don't know if it's Z's fault, but we got to fix this team if we want to make the playoffs. We're not going to be contending this year if we can't find a way to fix this team.
I don't know how you fix this team, though. And I know at this point, when things go south like this, you want the GM to make no moves. And you want the GM to go in another direction. I think what you need to do is do something minor that helps. I don't think it's time to go all in. I don't think it's time to make that move for Ekholm anymore. There was a time where I contemplated it, and when I went back and forth. I'm at the point now where I don't think it's the best idea, because if you lose a Phil Myers in the expansion draft, and you give up a blue chip prospect, and you give up a mid-level prospect, now you're losing 3 guys for 1 year of Ekholm, and I don't think that that is the best move for this franchise. There has to be some sort of long-term look with it as well. So you're now going to have to protect Ekholm in this expansion draft. It's poor timing is what it is. It's bad timing for the Flyers. So what I would do is try and get an average defenseman that can help. Go get just an okay defenseman and try and improve that way, where you got to make some sort of little push. You can't sit back and do absolutely nothing, but you don't need to mortgage the future either. It's just got to be an type of move where try and squeak into the playoffs with that 4 seed, but don't go all in. So if that's the fix, then maybe that is. Maybe. I doubt it. I don't think one defenseman's the fix by any stretch of the imagination. But think about last year. They went out and got Nate Thompson. They went out and got Derek Grant. That was their moves, and they were definitely in a different area when you made those type of acquisitions last season than you are now with the confidence level of the team and the way that the forwards were playing and the depth that you have of being able to roll 4. You don't have that luxury anymore, and now you got to be more strict with what defensemen are playing, how many minutes they're logging. So it's a different vibe surrounding this team, no doubt about it, 100%. But that's kind of where I would go if I'm Chuck Fletcher. An type of move where you're adding. It's definitely better than what you had, and that's more telling you about what you had, not so much the acquisition that you bring in. But you don't give up too much to get that, and you see where it takes you because you got to make sure that you play around with this expansion draft the right way. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but it's what needs to happen. It's what a smart general manager would do, in my opinion. That's what a smart GM would do in this spot. So with that being said, this is where we're going to end this episode. Let's see what they do tomorrow. Let's see how they play against the Devils. I'm curious what Philadelphia Flyers team we are going to get on a second half of a back-to-back when you are extremely hurt with your top 2 players, your most important forward and your most important defenseman. They're hurting. They're hurting bad. And they might have been able to get through it in this game. Guess what? Now you're taking your skates off. Now you're taking your shoulder pads off. You're going into your own home or whatever, and you're going to experience. Well, what are they? They're playing in New Jersey tomorrow, right? I think it's in whatever. Regardless, it doesn't matter where they're sleeping. Yeah, this was a home game. They're playing in New Jersey. Whatever. They're bus tripping up there. Regardless, that is so not even close to the point I'm trying to make. It's a lot different. Once you take the pads off, you sleep the next night, you wake up, and it's all right. Now I'm starting to feel that pain even more. So we will have to kind of wait and see what happens with those 2 players. With that being said, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.